What's up, guys? This is Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I wanted to talk about the Nmap command. So just to explain what the Nmap command is, it basically stands for Network Mapper. And it's an open source and very versatile tool that's used by Linux administrators, like network administrators, within a Linux environment. And Nmap can be used for multiple different purposes when working on the network, like exploring the network, performing security scans, as well as network auditing, finding open ports and all that stuff within a network or multiple networks. It also has options in it that allow you to scan for live hosts that are on the network. You can grab operating system information, as well as packet filtering information and open ports running on different hosts. And this program is actually used by a lot of cybersecurity professionals when checking the network for vulnerabilities or checking systems for vulnerabilities, as well as hackers. They use this type of tool as well when they're doing an investigation on a potential target that they're trying to get into. So first thing I want to do is go through and show you guys a little bit about it. I'm gonna go to their demand page, as well as show you a few examples after that. So let's get started on that. Okay, cool. So I have my terminal up, and let me go and go to the man page for Nmap. Now, just so you guys know, Nmap is a very detailed application, and it will be very hard for me to say that I can go through all the different options within this video. So I'm going to talk about the main ones that I actually have used, and to be honest, I'm not great with Nmap. I use it and I'm still learning. That's my whole point for saying that. I'm still learning Nmap because it's very detailed. I mean, you get in and you learn things that apply to what you're trying to do at the moment, and then once you run into an issue, that's typically how I learn programs. Is I actually have to do something with the program in order to actually fully learn the options and everything dealing with the command. I have to actually use it, or have a purpose to actually use it in order to actually break it down and fully understand it. So let me go down, open up the man page, and let's go down and walk through it a little bit. But Nmap, it says Network Exploration Tool and Security Port Scanner. And here's the synopsis. This is how you run the command. So Nmap, then you can do scan types, options, and then the target, and then specifications. And if we read right here, it says Nmap Network Mapper is an open source tool for network exploration and security auditing. It is designed to rapidly scan large networks. Although it works fine against single hosts, Nmap uses raw IP packets in novel ways to determine what hosts are available on the network, what services, application names, and versions those hosts are offering, what operating system and OS versions they are running, what types of packets, filtering, firewalls are in use, and dozen other characteristics. While Nmap is commonly used for security audits, many system and network administrators find it useful for routine tasks such as network inventory, managing service upgrade schedules, and monitoring host or service uptime. So it's a lot, like I said, it's a lot of uses for this command. And you won't really get the hang of them all unless you start using it for a lot of those options that they pointed out there you can use the command for. And if we scroll down, like I said, this thing is detailed, so the man page is super long. It has a lot of different options, and it gives you examples through running different commands. But I'm not gonna go through and show you all of them. Here are some of the options. If we go down here, host discovery, scan techniques, port specification, and scan orders. I'm gonna show you this command for sure because it scans a specific port that you specify. You can also put ranges in there, and I've used that in the past, just learning how to audit networks. And if you keep going, they have a whole bunch of other options like service version detection, Right here is the OS detection. So I was going to show you guys that command as well, running on my network. Firewall, evasion, and spoofing. And output, you can specify the output, you know what I'm saying? So let's go on and get to it, and I'm gonna show you guys some examples of the actual command running. So let me quit right fast the man page and then go on and show you guys a few of the commands that I want to show you guys. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys how to actually run an Nmap command, the basic way of running it with no options. So it's Nmap, and then I'm gonna run it against my website, which is KeepItTechie. So you can specify by just using the host name. You don't have to have the IP address. So let's say you want to target a website or something like that. So KeepItTechie.com and press enter, and then we'll let this thing run. I might have to speed it up depending on how long some of these take, but as you can see, this one ran pretty quick. And what it does is it gives you a basic report of that host name. And if we go here, you'll see that it gives you the IP address for the server. So this is the actual IP address for the KeepItTechie web server, which is in the cloud. And then also what it does is goes through and check the ports. So if we look right here, you know, it says 980 closed ports, but it gives you a list of all the ports that are open. And if you look at them, you know, it tells you the port, it tells you if it's a TCP or a UDP port, it tells you the state. And then right here, this kind of gives you some information right here as well. Filtered, that means it's probably behind a firewall or something, but pretty much that's the states. And then this is the actual service that typically runs on that port that's open. So 21, once you learn networking, you'll understand. So a lot of these ports are used for specific things. Like 21 is typically used for FTP. 22 is typically used for SSH. And then port 80 is a predefined port for websites. And just so you know, when you type in a website that's not secure, but because, you know, back in the day, a lot of sites weren't secure. They just recently started pushing for sites to be secure, but port 80 was automatically defined. So when you typed in www.aol.com, that port is already predefined. You don't need to specify the port on the end of it, but that's the way you typically would go to a website, is by typing in www.aol.com, and that port is already predefined, so you don't have to worry about it, but it'll automatically go to that port. That's the way the internet works. But anyway, just going through a few more of the, you know, ports that are open, like POP3 is open, IMAP, that's mail. And then 443 is the secure port. This is a predefined secure port, so you don't have to, you know, type in the port. It automatically knows what port it is for a secure site. So I just wanted to, you know, kind of point that out or whatever. But then if you look through, you'll see it's got a whole bunch of other ports that it scanned or whatever. Like you'll see that MySQL is open, and IMAPs, LDP, SMTPS. You know, a lot of these ports are open on this server based on what the state is. So that's basically how you run the Nmap command. You know, it gives you some information, but the other options, you know, are add to that information. Like for instance, let's go on and run it based on the IP address. And I just want to do this just to show you guys that it works via the host name and the IP address. So if we type Nmap and then space, and then let's put the IP address in there, press enter, it'll run the exact same command, and then I'll start adding more options into the command. As you can see it pulls in the same information by using the IP address. So if you already know the IP address, you know you can run the Nmap command specifically on the IP address. Now let me go down and clear, and I want to show you something you could do on your local network. Now this is one thing I typically try to do, and this is just scanning within my network. And you can scan a whole subnet by using just the IP address range with the store, because they they use wildcards. You can use a wildcard with the Nmap command. So let's say I'm gonna scan it my local network by using the Nmap command, and I'm gonna just type in my IP address, so 192.168.10.* and if we press enter on that, you'll see that it'll go through and scan every host on the network. Cool. And as you can see, it only looks at hosts that are actually up. So this is, a cool way of checking everything on the network. So it'll go through and find any server that's up or any system that's up, and it'll scan it. It'll scan the ports, see what's open. Like for instance, this is my local area network's router right here. This is the gateway, basically. This is my router. And these are the ports that are open telnet, and HTTPS. And then also this is something else on my network. I'm not even sure what this one is, but this is on my network as well. Oh, I know what that is. I have a NAS. This is my NAS server, or it's basically a NAS that I have set up on my network, and this is all local. It's not accessible from the outside, so I don't have any port forwarding set up on that. But these are other systems on my network. I'm not even sure what this one is. And this is my printer. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it scans through everything. This one right here has no open ports. So 15, which I believe that's my Pi-hole. I have a Pi-hole set up, and it has no ports open on it. And then just all the other systems on my network or whatever. And like I said, it goes through all 256 IP addresses, and then shows you the 8 hosts that are up. And just to show you something, since we're talking about hosts that are up, or since I pointed out the hosts that are up, let me show you how to actually pull only live hosts or find only live hosts. This is another command that I've ran in the past, and that's typically just checking to see if someone's on my network that shouldn't be. So let me clear right fast. And the way you run that is by using specific commands. So I'm gonna use that same IP address or everything, within my network. I want to look at every IP address within my network, and I want to use a couple of options. So if we use the -S and then capital P option, and we can simply check for hosts that are live and up on the network. So we can run this command just to check and see all the live hosts, and you'll see what I'm saying when, instead of that long drawn out report where it looks at all the ports and everything, this will just pull all the IP addresses for hosts that are up. So it ignores the port scanning, and it'll just show you those IP addresses of all the hosts that are live. Now let me show you guys another option, and this is the -A option. This will pull just basically more information than what's actually pulled by running the Nmap command by itself. -A will basically add a bunch of options to it, where you can see the OS detection or version detection of the OS, script scanning, as well as trace route. So let me go on and run that command, and I'm gonna run it against my server, my web server in the cloud, KeepItTechie.com. So let's type that in right fast. So basically Nmap and then -A, capital A, and then I'm gonna type in the IP address for it, which I know what it is. So, and I apologize for that, but 108.167.158.114. And let's press enter on that, and let's go ahead and run this command. Like I said, this one may run a little bit longer because it's pulling more information. It's going to try to detect the operating system of the actual system, and try to do it like a trace route, as well as script scanning, all that stuff, and as well as version detection. So whatever ports that are open, it'll try to pull the version. So that's another thing when people are actually hacking. They'll try to pull the version, because certain versions will have different vulnerabilities. So this is one of the things that it tries to do. So like I said, this is a bunch of information. That's why I wanted to run it against one system. But as you can see, you know, it breaks out all those ports. It breaks it out and shows you some information, gives you the version number. Like for instance, right here, 3306. This gives you the version of MySQL that's actually running. So 5.6.41. It actually was able to get that information for you. And so yeah, it gives you, like I said, it gives you a whole lot of information. And let's scroll up a little bit further and let's see. Yeah, it gives you, and if you search through this thing, you can kind of find out what type of operating system it is. Like for one, I seen something that said Red Hat. So I mean, it kind of gives you an idea of what it is. But I see Apache on here, so we know it's a Linux server. Whatever it's running on, which you can install Apache on Windows as well, but most likely if it's running Apache, it's running on Linux. And then also you can see that I pay for hosting with HostGator, so that gives you some information on where this server is located. So it's on HostGator server, just by multiple cases where it's showing HostGator.com on there. So, but anyway. Oh, here we go. And this is what I actually saw. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux. That's the actual OS detection right here. And I apologize, I didn't see it. I missed it. It was at the bottom though. But this is the, you know, the OS for the system. So, and then also just to show you, if you want to pull just that information, because A kind of is broad, but let's say you only want to look at the OS detection. Well, there's another option. I think I talked about it in the man page, but if you just type -O and press enter, it'll try to pull the operating system. So, and for some reason it's asking me to requires root privileges, TCP, IP fingerprinting. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta run it as sudo. And that way it'll try to detect the operating system, which is weird because I didn't have to do that to pull the operating system when I ran the other command. So I'm not sure why it asked for my sudo password on that one. But if we scroll down to the bottom right here, it says device type general purpose running Linux 4. So that lets you know the kernel. And actually here's the kernel right here. So OS details, you know, Linux.4.4, network distance 17 hops. So that's kind of like a trace route. It's like it takes 17 hops to get to this server from my location. So cool. That'll give you a little bit more information right there as well. And also let me just show you this, and this is just to show you, but you can scan a specific port or scan for a specific port. Let's say you only want to look for a specific port on this server. So let's type capital P, and actually we don't have to run sudo. I don't know why it's asking me for running sudo, but you can specify the port. Let's say you want to just only look for port 80, and let's say you're looking for multiple IP addresses. That's where this is kind of important. If you're looking for multiple servers with a specific open port, I'm gonna run it on one IP address, so it doesn't matter. But and I already know what it is that it's open. But like if you're running this on a subnet and you want to see all the systems that have port 80 open or port 22, for example, then you can run the -P option, and this will, you know, scan all those servers and show you which ones are. And now I see why it needed my IP address right here. So if you look right when I ran that command, it says warning, you're not root, using TCP ping scan rather than ICMP. So in order to use TCP ping scan or ICMP, you have to be running as root. And I've read that multiple places when I was messing around and trying to learn the Nmap command. But certain things require you to run it as sudo, and they say it's best practice to run it as sudo. I just didn't think it was that important for the video. But if it states that it kind of requires for you to run it as sudo, then run it as sudo. I recommend that. And I apologize, I'm actually running this command wrong. This is the second time I ran it wrong, but it's not capital P, it's lowercase p, and that'll specify that one port. So I apologize for messing that up, but that's how you run it based on one specific port. So I might cut that out earlier, but yeah, I was running with a capital P, but it's actually lowercase p. I just not noticed it. But yeah, you have to run it with lowercase p, and then the port number, and then the range of IP addresses or the IP addresses. And just so you know, it's another one of the options I want to show you, but it's capital F, and this will actually run a fast scan where it doesn't run all the full ports. Based on the information I've read, it doesn't go through all of the ports. Like when you run the Nmap command, it'll run a whole bunch, it'll run against a whole bunch of port. It'll run with the dash capital F, it'll run it against the most common ports. So if we run it, it should run a little faster, which because it only looks at specific ports. So if you see this, you see how it says 82 closed ports, because it only scanned a small amount of ports, versus if we go up a little higher, you'll see that it scanned 980 or even more than that, like 1,000. I can't remember how many ports it is, but it's like 1,000 some ports or whatever, or 1,000 ports that it scans. Well, when you run dash F, it only runs against a smaller number of ports, and I don't remember the exact number, but most common ports are within the amount of ports that it actually runs against. So that's one thing I wanted to, also give you guys, in case you want to speed up the scanning process, because if you're running against a big network, this is going to take a while. If you're trying to find open ports on specific systems within the network, then just running the Nmap command, it'll take like an hour or so, or a couple of hours, depending on how big your network is. But it'll take a while by running on all the ports, when it doesn't have to, if you're only looking for the most common ports. So that's another option for you. Okay, and so the last thing I want to show you guys is the actual stealth command, or the stealth option, like running Nmap based on and basically what you're trying to do is avoid being logged, like your IP address being logged. You can run a stealth option, and this won't complete the three-way handshake when you're running commands like this. So let me actually run the command for you so you guys can see, and actually that's clear. But sudo and the option is dash s and lowercase s and then capital S, and then you want to run that against whatever IP address is you want to run it against. And I apologize, let me do it this way. But this is a stealth scan, so this is one thing you want to do if you not want to get logged when you're actually running a command. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please check out the Nmap command. Like I said, it's very detailed on how to actually use it, and the multiple options that are out there to accomplish whatever task you're trying to accomplish when checking the network or scanning the network. It's like a lot of options on there, and a lot of people use this when they're getting into cybersecurity. Nmap is like one of those tools that is very popular within like Kali Linux and all those different cybersecurity operating systems that are out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys, all the new support that I'm getting. If you guys want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. Also, my Cash App is in the description. So if you want to send me a couple dollars, that'll be greatly appreciated, just to help me keep the channel going. But I hope you guys have a good day, and keep it techie.